Still dealing with issues from dealing in the streets.
What's good, everybody? What's good? It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are back for another one. Alright, y'all. New topic. Terence Bud Crawford hasn't had a championship fight since 2018, but wants 50-50 with Errol Spence Jr. Alright, y'all. So, what role, if any, does not having a championship fight in 4 years, 4 years, play in the negotiating process of the undisputed super fight between Spence and Crawford? I think it plays a big role. We are talking about championship boxing here, and we are talking about a fighter who wants his just payment for his talent, but his talent isn't on the same level as the guy he's challenging. So it's hard to fathom why he would want a 50-50 revenue split when you're not even challenging yourself to the caliber of the guy that you're challenging. I definitely feel like his price is way too high. And I definitely feel like him not having a championship fight in nearly 4 years, it shows the real Terence Crawford. It shows you who this guy really is. It shows you his lack and the fact that he's unmotivated to give anybody else a shot. You know, he cries about he's not getting his shot, but I don't see you out here giving anybody else a shot. You've had 4 years, but I don't see you challenging or giving anybody else the same opportunities that you would like to receive from Errol Spence Jr. as a welterweight. You know, in these days and times, especially with streaming being so big and people not having to pay for pay-per-view fights anymore, or even having to pay to watch these fights anymore, you should be challenging yourself every chance you get, because it's going to bring new eyeballs to your product. Every time you refuse to challenge yourself, it's giving your haters a new opportunity to throw dirt on your name. It's giving the people who already don't like you, who feel like you're taking advantage of the system, another reason to say, hey man, this guy isn't who he says he is. You know, and every time I think fans want Terence Crawford to challenge himself, he comes up with a new excuse and throws it back in the fans' face. Well, it's money stopping me. Oh, it's my promoter standing in the way. Oh, this guy doesn't really want to fight me. He's not on my level. It's always an excuse. It's never, we're just going to get this fight made and I'm going to prove that I'm the best. And I think that's the problem he's going to run into. You got some young lion fighters out here who have no problem. They're not making huge money right now, but they're already semi-famous. You know, and it really doesn't happen that way too often. When you got a guy like Boots or a guy like Virgil, super talented, normally they have to build their audience up and then they start getting the money. Well, it's kind of different now. You know, they kind of got an audience and they're seeking the money right now. So, you know, I think guys like Boots and Virgil will have no problem getting in the ring just to prove that they're better than you. And that's dangerous in the sport of boxing. When somebody just wants to prove that they're better than you, they really have no motivation for it. They really don't have a beef with you. It's just to prove, hey, I got more talent than you. If you try to get into a ring with those type of fighters, normally it ends bad for the last generation guy. And right now, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., they're all last generation fighters now. You know, Pacquiao, Mayweather, you know, the De La Hoya, their generation's all past. You know, that's 3 generations ago almost now. Terence Crawford and them, they're last generation fighters now already. Boots, Virgil, they're the future. You know, they're the new generation of boxing, and those guys have no problem getting in a boxing ring just to prove they're better than you and to make their name. They're chasing the money now, you know, because they're already once again, they're already semi-famous solely based off their talents. If you watch one small piece of footage from Boots, you're going to be mesmerized by his talent level, by the fact that he is so young in the boxing game, but is so freaking talented. And you're gonna go, wow, you know, I wish Terence Crawford had some of these skill sets. I wish guys like Crawford would challenge themselves more. I wish guys like Crawford wouldn't come up with so many excuses, because Boots and Crawford have similar talents, but Boots carries himself a lot more like a stand-up guy than Terence Crawford does. I don't feel like Terence Crawford's a stand-up guy. I feel like Terence Crawford's kind of he's a prima donna. He seems like the kind of guy who'll smile in your face, talk behind your back. More like a frenemy than anything. But he seems like a likable, you know, Terence Crawford. I wanna say he seems like a likable guy. You know, a guy you can hang out with, a guy you could talk to. But at the end of the day, it's almost like, well, if I confide in this person, am I gonna regret that? It's the same way in negotiation. You know, I think Bob Arum felt like he had the best talent in the world, but couldn't get Crawford to bend on anything. When you start paying these guys high dollar amounts, super high dollar amounts, without proving anything, when they finally have to prove something, you start to see them for what they really are. And Terence Crawford is starting to look like a crybaby. And someone who's hard to work with, someone who, once again, might be a backbiter, might be a prima donna, and someone who doesn't challenge themselves. Once again, this man hasn't had a championship fight in 4 years. That's a horrible resume at this point. Manny Pacquiao was doing 2 to 3 fights a year at one point. 2 to 3 high-level fights when boxing was boxing, and was selling pay-per-views 3 times a year. So it's kind of hard to believe these guys are warriors or have the warrior mentality when they're so semi-famous already and refuse to challenge themselves. You know, refuse to give fans what they want. Let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section down below. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tube. So holler at me over there if you want a response. It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red. I think I'm done rambling for now. Scorching hot. And we are...
She don't get it, I'm grinding, trying to keep us from starving.